All right, let's make speed ramps. I'm gonna create a new project. I've got a few files from the web that I'm going to be using. I'd like to see at least 3 in your project. I've got some kind of random skateboarding videos, and I'm gonna give my project a name. Speed ramps. And off we go. So first decision, what order do you want your clips in? Kind of review what you have already. So like my clips have this normal speed shot of a bunch of people, aerial shot coming out into a skate park. Seems to be normal human speed. This clip is a bit slowed down to feature the tricks themselves, so it's a bit slow motion to begin with. And this last clip is very much slowed down. I'd say this is maybe 1/8 normal speed or something like that, close up of a skateboard trick. So it's important to know what speed your clips are at to begin with. Is an important designation to make there. The order of the clips can always be changed just by dragging things around in the timeline. But I'm actually pretty satisfied with what I've got here. In essence, to make some speed ramps, you're going to be slicing up the clips into smaller sections and then applying different speed settings to each section. I'm going to actually start with this last video here, close-up of a trick. In my mind, I think I want to kind of speed through the setup here, where he's just kind of getting ready for his trick, and then go very slow motion through the trick itself, and then kind of fast forward through the remaining roll away on the skateboard. So to accomplish that, I'll need to cut this twice to make 3 separate clips. So I'm going to drag the timeline to a spot that makes sense to cut, which is kind of right before the trick, right before he leaves the ground, I suppose, which is right about here. I'm going to hit the scissors icon to cut the clip into 2. And then I'm going to move my timeline down to when he lands the trick, which is right about here, and cut again. So I now have 3 clips that should kind of seamlessly connect, and I can make edits to each of these now separately. Voila. Okay. Before I get too much further, I'm going to pinch to zoom in, or spread my fingers, I guess, would be more accurate, to zoom in on the timeline so I get a little better view of each of these sections here. Okay. I'm going to hit the speed menu off to the right. Looks like a little tachometer on your car, your parents' car. And this is where we create the speed changes for our clips. So the first thing to decide is what's the speed of this particular clip. So this is already slow motion, so I know I want to speed it up by quite a bit, especially if I want it to appear to be fast motion. So I'm going to try all the way up 1,000%. Let's see how quickly that gets me through the beginning portion of the clip. That's maybe a bit too drastic. That went really fast, so I'm going to bring that down a bit. Let's try somewhere in the middle, 500-ish. Let's see how that works for us. Yeah, I kind of like that speed. Kind of gets me right to the good part of the trick. So 531. I think I'll just use that on the last portion of the clip as well, just to unify things in that way, or get roughly in the same position. 530-ish. Good enough. Cool. Then the clip itself is, the trick itself is already slow motion, because that's what the original clip was. So let's see if the effect is kind of what we want here. Yeah, that's pretty good speed for the trick, I'd say. I might go a little bit slower even than that. So I might bring it down to 74%. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like that. and then speed back up when we land, and off we go. So the idea of a speed ramp now is the other concept we're practicing here. The transitions between these different speeds right now is very harsh. Fast to slow to fast again. It kind of feels like you get some whiplash almost when you're making these transitions. It just feels very unnatural. So we're going to use the speed ramp feature to ease the transition from one speed to the next. So I'm going to start with this first section of this clip and click the ramp check mark here. And this took me a while to kind of understand what was even happening here, but when you click on ramp, you can change the amount of time that the transition happens from one speed to the next. And you can do that over a small amount of time or a long amount of time. It just depends on what you need for your clip. So I'm going to take a look at what happens if I do my smallest increment for my speed ramp here, where it's going to speed up and then go back. So you can kind of see visually what's happening in your clip here. There's a little pink kind of graph, I guess it would be labeled, where it's got this hill shape right now, showing me that my speed change will only be applied in this little section here, which isn't really what I want, actually. So I want to change the range, it's called, of my speed ramp. So that's these two blue sliders up at the top here. So the range that I want to change the speed is most of the clip and all the way to the end of the clip. I want it to ramp up in speed. So I'm leaving a little bit. Actually, I'll just get the full range here, the whole section. And the ramp itself, I zoom in here a little more. The ramp itself won't be applied unless I take a little edge off of this section here at the end. So let's see what I've done here. So that's a much smoother transition now, if you noticed. It went fast to slow, but it wasn't quite so jarring. And if I wanted to stretch that out even more, I could change the duration here, make it a longer duration, and then maybe stretch that transition out for more of the clip using that range at the top. So let's see how that looks now. That looked a little strange. I don't know if that was just the delay on my iPad. But I'm going to do less of an amount. I think use more of the range. That gave me a better look at it. So it just takes some experimenting for sure. The next section is my slow motion section. So I do want a speed ramp here as well, where I ramp down to that speed. Let's see how the transition looks here. Not bad. And let's see how it looks on the other side as it ramps back to high speed again. So here's the section where I get that ramp effect. Nice. And on this last section, I want the ramp as well, so that it applies that change gradually, but over a short amount of time here. So the range for this one would be from the beginning of the clip all the way to the end. I want that timing change to happen. Not bad. So played in its entirety, I think I've got a pretty good mix of things going on here. Ramping down to slow-mo, then ramping back up to high speed. That looked a little jarring at the end still. It needs a little help. Maybe I'll play the whole section here. Maybe this ramp could be shorter as well. Needs a little more tweaking, but that's the gist of things, is how to make these splits. First of all, in your clips, splitting a clip up into multiple sections. applying a range speed for the particular range of that clip, and then experimenting with the ramps and figuring out how to make good transitions from one speed to the next is the moral of the story there. For this next clip, the cuts I would make would maybe be, let's see, what do we even have here? We've got a person approaching the bench, board slide, this guy doing a tail slide, so 2 tricks, and then kind of a skate off. So the first section I'd maybe clip right about here once the dude lands, and then speed up that portion. And he skates off, and then I'd maybe make another cut right about here. When the dude does his trick, I'd do that in slow-mo maybe, and then speed up the rest of the clip there. So that might be my natural speeds there. So the slow-mo here, I might bring the range speed down for the trick, speed up this clip when he's just skating off, slow down this clip when the guy's doing his trick, and then speed up the last section when he's just skating off. I haven't applied any ramps, but this would be kind of how I'd cut up that clip. Slow for the trick, fast for the dismount, slow for the trick, and then fast for the dismount once again. All I need to do from here is add some ramps so that the effect isn't quite so drastic. In the first clip, I'm not sure how I would slice it up. Maybe just apply some random cuts here and there just to add some interest into the scene, and just mess around with the speed, slower, faster, slower, and create some ramps in between all of these. Ramp, 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 ramp. And same with these clips, I'll just apply the default 0.1 second ramp to all of them. And that take care of some of the guesswork for me. So we've got a slow-mo section here as they all come out. Sped up, slow down. So it just depends on what portions of your clip you're trying to feature. Slow down, speed up, what portions can you skip through, etc. That's up to you as the artist, but then definitely utilizing those ramps to make the smoother transitions between the two. And it's going to look a little, especially on the slow-mo parts, you might be feeling like it's a little jittery, a little janky. That might just be Premiere Pro doing that, or Premiere Rush doing that until you export it. That hopefully will clean things up a bit. And when you're ready to share it out, you can export it to your camera roll. Good luck.